The weak call sales manipulation. The powerful recognize it as control. This misunderstanding is not random. It protects those without leverage. When someone labels sales as dirty, they justify their own inability to command outcomes. Machiavelli would immediately see through this. People moralize what they fail to master. Sales is not the art of persuading equals. It is the engineering of hierarchy. When selling feels uncomfortable, it is not because the act is wrong. It is because the seller is operating beneath the buyer, seeking approval instead of establishing position. No one follows a man who asks permission to lead a transaction. Rejection doesn't sting because it hurts emotionally. It stings because it exposes powerlessness. Every pause, every unnecessary explanation, every early discount is a confession. You are admitting uncertainty, and uncertainty invites resistance. Humans are not logical first. They are territorial first. They sense weakness long before they process reasoning. The central illusion is that selling is persuasion. Persuasion is what you use when authority is missing. Real selling is positioning yourself as the inevitable choice. This is why aggressive sellers fail. Aggression is not strength, it is noise. Machiavelli warned that rulers who rely on force expose their instability. The same law applies in commerce. The seller who pressures, rushes, or pleads signals desperation. Desperation repels. Power speaks quietly. A seller in control does not chase deals. He shapes the environment so the deal moves toward him. He assumes value. He does not prove it. Proof belongs in courts, not in dominance. This is also why selling something you secretly doubt destroys authority. Doubt fractures presence. The body leaks the mind. Tone weakens. Language softens. Confidence collapses into negotiation. The buyer does not analyze this consciously. They feel it and pull away. Price is almost never the real objection. Authority is. Machiavelli understood that legitimacy comes before obedience. A ruler who doubts his right to rule invites rebellion. A seller who doubts his offer invites rejection. Authority must be felt before it is explained. Another illusion traps the weak. The belief that people buy logically. They don't. Logic justifies decisions after they are emotionally made. No one buys a car for transportation. They buy status, dignity, escape from shame. No one buys fitness for health. They buy relief from self-disgust. No one buys education for knowledge. They buy leverage. The seller who leads with features speaks like a clerk. The seller who leads with identity speaks like a ruler. Selling is not about talking more. It is about revealing the cost of doing nothing. What remains broken if the buyer stays passive? What humiliation continues? What limitation persists? When this becomes undeniable, fear disappears, because fear only exists when you need approval. Another comforting lie must die. Rejection means failure. Rejection only exposes misalignment of power or timing. The elite seller does not seek universal acceptance. He selects. He qualifies. He discards. Scarcity is not a trick. It is the natural result of independence. If you need the deal, the buyer owns you. If you can walk away, you control the frame. Most people sell like servants hoping to be chosen. Those who truly sell operate as gatekeepers, deciding who gains access to the outcome. They are not asking, "Will you buy?" They are asking, "Are you capable of using this?" That inversion changes everything. Sales stops being extraction and becomes filtration. Money is not taken, it is redirected. The buyer does not feel conquered. They feel chosen. When you hold this position, calm, immovable, detached from outcome, the final reversal happens. The buyer begins selling themselves. They justify the decision internally. They argue for the purchase. That is power. Sales is not manipulation. It is command of context. Until this is understood, every script, tactic, and technique collapses under pressure. The next failure point destroys more deals than price or competition combined. Most people are not sold on themselves. Power cannot flow through a man who doubts his own authority. Principle 1. Never sell what you do not believe in. Power cannot move through a divided mind. A man who doubts his own offering cannot command belief from others. This is not philosophy, it is mechanics. The most common mistake in sales is not weak scripts or poor closing skills. It is internal disbelief, and disbelief is fatal. Machiavelli would call this illegitimacy. A ruler who doubts his right to rule invites conspiracy. A seller who doubts his product invites resistance. People say, "I just need better closing skills." No. What they need is alignment. Selling something you do not believe in creates contradiction. You project one truth outward while holding another inward. Buyers sense this fracture instantly. Humans hunt inconsistency. They trust coherence and punish hesitation. This is why sales feels dirty to so many people, not because selling is immoral, but because they are trying to extract value from something they themselves would not proudly buy. Their conscience rebels and the body follows. The voice tightens. The language softens. Authority dissolves into negotiation. A man selling luxury does not apologize. A man selling scarcity does not beg. Only the uncertain explain themselves. If you believe your product is overpriced, mediocre, or replaceable, your behavior will reveal it. No training can override this. No script can hide it for long. Belief is the foundation of dominance. Without it, everything collapses. Understand this clearly. People do not buy products, they buy certainty. They are buying the quiet certainty of a man who knows the outcome improves with his presence and worsens without it. That kind of certainty cannot be performed. It must be built internally. Machiavelli warned that rulers who substitute deception for strength eventually lose both. The same law applies here. You may deceive customers briefly, but you cannot deceive your own nervous system. It will expose you through posture, timing, micro-hesitation, and tone. This leads to a conclusion most people refuse to accept. If you do not believe in what you are selling, leave. Do not grind through it. Do not pretend until belief arrives later. Do not wait for motivation to rescue you. Those are the survival strategies of servants, not leaders. If the product does not elevate the buyer's position in a way you respect, walk away. Find a better offer. Build one. Change the market you serve. Power comes from standing behind something you would defend without hesitation. Once belief is established, selling transforms completely. You stop seeking permission. You stop over-explaining. You stop negotiating against yourself. You begin directing. The conversation shifts from, "Will this work?" to, "How quickly do you want the result?" This is why elite sellers appear relaxed. They are unattached to the outcome. They know the product delivers. They know not everyone qualifies. Rejection does not threaten their identity. Indifference is strength. When you are fully sold on what you offer, money no longer feels extracted. It feels redirected, away from stagnation, away from excuses, toward leverage, status, and relief. Guilt disappears because guilt only exists when you believe the exchange is unequal. Belief also sharpens selectivity. You stop trying to sell everyone. You qualify harder. You disqualify faster. This alone increases your authority. Scarcity is not manufactured by tactics. It is produced by standards. A seller without standards is replaceable. A seller with standards becomes a gatekeeper. This is why this principle cannot be bypassed. Every great strategist, ruler, and operator understood this instinctively. Authority flows from conviction. Markets do not reward effort. They reward coherence. When you believe, others follow. When you hesitate, they resist. Principle 2. Before you sell anyone else, you must sell yourself. A man who does not trust himself cannot command trust from others. This is not motivational language, it is structural reality. Power cannot move through doubt. It leaks. Most people fail in sales not because their offer is weak, but because they are internally illegitimate. They ask others to commit, invest, and act while privately knowing they themselves do not live by the standards they demand. This hypocrisy is felt instantly, not intellectually, but instinctively. Machiavelli warned that rulers, who cannot govern themselves, will never govern others. Self-rule precedes authority. If you cannot keep promises to yourself, your words carry no weight. The market detects this faster than any courtroom ever could. The common delusion is that confidence comes from results. In truth, results emerge from self-trust. And self-trust is built through discipline, not affirmations. Every time you delay, quit early, lower standards, or negotiate with your own weakness, you weaken internal authority. When internal authority collapses, external authority collapses with it. This is why some people say all the correct words yet cannot close. Their language is accurate, but their presence is empty. Buyers do not respond to vocabulary. They respond to alignment. When a man stands behind his words with his behavior, posture, and habits, people feel safe following him. When he does not, resistance appears automatically. Selling yourself does not mean ego. It means credibility. You must know, without debate, why you are trustworthy. Not because of titles, credentials, or charm, but because you consistently do what you say you will do. Consistency is quiet power. Machiavelli wrote that reputation is built through repeated action, not declared virtue. The same law applies here. You do not convince yourself with speeches. You convince yourself by waking up when you said you would, training when it is uncomfortable, preparing when no one is watching. These actions are invisible to others, but they shape everything others feel about you. Once you are sold on yourself, rejection loses its charge. You stop negotiating your worth externally. A man who trusts himself does not collapse when someone says no. He recalibrates or moves on. This shift is dangerous in the best way. You stop tolerating weak prospects. You stop chasing hesitation. You stop shrinking your offer to be liked. You begin holding others to your standard instead of lowering yourself to theirs. The market responds immediately. People follow those who live as proof of their message. They invest in embodiment, not explanation. If you want others to bet on themselves, they must first see that you already have. This is why selling yourself is the second principle. Without it, belief in the product decays. With it, even an average offer gains weight. Authority compounds. Principle 3. People do not buy products. They buy escape. The weak seller explains features. The powerful seller exposes consequences. This is the difference between clerks and strategists. No one wakes up wanting a product. They wake up wanting relief from shame, limitation, stagnation, and the quiet fear that their life is not advancing. Products are rational objects. Buying is an emotional act. Those who confuse the two move slowly, if they move at all. The common illusion is, if I explain what it does, they will see its value. False. Understanding does not move behavior, urgency does. And urgency is created by pain, not information. Machiavelli understood that people flee danger faster than they pursue pleasure. Markets obey the same law. A buyer acts when the cost of staying the same becomes heavier than the cost of change. Your role is not to decorate the solution. It is to expose the trap they are already inside. No one buys transportation, they buy dignity. No one buys weight loss. They buy the end of self-disgust. No one buys education. They are buying leverage over a future that currently dominates them. The product is only the vehicle. The destination is psychological sovereignty. This is why elite sellers ask questions instead of delivering speeches. Questions are instruments of control. They force the buyer to confront what they have been avoiding. How long has this problem existed? What has it already cost you? What happens if nothing changes 12 months from now? Each question compresses the frame. Each answer sharpens the pressure. The weak avoid these questions because they fear discomfort will push the buyer away. In reality, discomfort creates clarity. People are already uncomfortable. You are simply removing the illusion that avoidance is harmless. Do not confuse this with emotional theater. This is not about kindness. It is about accuracy. Precision generates authority. When you describe a buyer's problem more clearly than they can, you temporarily control their narrative. And whoever controls the narrative controls the decision. Another illusion must die. People know what they need. Most do not. They feel symptoms, not causes. They attack surface problems while protecting the habits that created them. The seller's real function is diagnostic, not persuasive. You identify the true constraint, then present the exit. This is why demonstrations outperform explanations. Experience collapses time. When the buyer feels the outcome, relief, confidence, elevation, the decision is already formed. Language merely rationalizes it afterward. The seller who leads with features invites comparison. The seller who leads with escape eliminates comparison. When the buyer believes you uniquely understand their situation, price loses gravity. Competitors fade. Delay feels dangerous. Do not sell hope. Hope is weak. Sell inevitability. Make it clear that change will occur with or without them. The only variable is whether they will command it or be commanded by it. This is not pressure. It is reality framed cleanly. When this is executed correctly, something predictable happens. Buyers stop asking about discounts and begin asking about timelines. They stop negotiating value and start negotiating speed. The frame shifts from, "Do I want this?" to "How fast can I get out?" This principle is non-negotiable. Without it, you are selling objects in a market flooded with objects. With it, you are selling exits in a world crowded with trapped people. Power flows toward those who provide exits. Principle 4. Do not persuade. Stand where the money already wants to stand. The weak persuade. The powerful decide. Persuasion is compensation for missing authority. Machiavelli warned that force reveals fragility. The same applies to persuasion. When you strain to convince, you signal that the decision is not self-evident. Here is the trap most sellers fall into. I must make them understand. No, understanding is not the bottleneck. Courage is. People know far more than they act upon. What they lack is the willingness to confront the cost of remaining the same. Your role is not to debate the buyer. It is to occupy the position their capital is already moving toward. Money is not neutral. It seeks leverage. It flows toward outcomes, not explanations. When a buyer hesitates, it is not because they lack information. It is because their fear of change outweighs their desire for progress. If you argue, you reinforce their fear. If you reframe, you overpower it. To operate at this level, you must adopt a ruthless lens. The buyer's money is currently misallocated. It is parked in comfort, distraction, delay, places that generate decay, not growth. Your offer is not a cost. It is a redeployment of resources. When you believe this fully, persuasion vanishes. You are no longer selling. You are reallocating capital toward its highest utility. This is why elite sellers remain calm around price. They do not defend it. They contextualize it. They measure the investment against the silent cost of inaction. Time lost, confidence eroded, opportunity wasted. Against these losses, price becomes small. Machiavelli warned that rulers who appear uncertain invite rebellion. Sellers who negotiate against themselves invite delay. Never reduce price before it is challenged. Never apologize for value. Apology signals guilt, and guilt repels authority. Another illusion must be dismantled: that empathy requires softness. Real empathy is firmness. It is the willingness to say, if this does not change, nothing will change for you. The weak call this pressure. The wise call it responsibility. Standing where the money stands means you see the buyer's future more clearly than they do. It means holding the uncomfortable truth when they retreat into excuses. You do not chase, you wait. Silence becomes leverage. When executed properly, a shift occurs. The buyer stops defending hesitation and begins interrogating it. Their internal dialogue turns against delay. They start selling themselves. At that moment, the decision is already made. Notice what did not happen: no pleading, no emotional manipulation, no force, only reality realigned. This is why aggression is unnecessary. Aggression is the dialect of insecurity. Authority does not need volume. It needs alignment. When your belief in the outcome outweighs the buyer's fear, control transfers naturally. This principle separates those who close occasionally from those who can sell anything. The first group hunts agreement. The second redirects momentum. And money always follows momentum. Principle 5, no, is not rejection. It is incomplete awareness. The weak hear no and retreat. The powerful hear no and diagnose. Rejection only feels personal to those still seeking validation. In truth, a no is rarely final. A no is not a verdict. It is a signal. It means the frame is incomplete. Either the value is unfinished, or the consequences of inaction have not yet become unavoidable. Most sellers collapse at the first refusal because they misunderstand what is happening. They assume the buyer has evaluated the offer and rejected it. That is almost never true. People do not reject what they fully understand. They reject what feels vague, risky, abstract, or uncertain. Machiavelli understood that resistance appears wherever clarity is absent. Subjects rebel when a ruler's intent is unclear. Buyers hesitate when the outcome is fogged. Confusion produces delay. Here is the critical distinction: you are not being rejected. The product is not even being rejected. Ignorance is protecting itself. When someone says, "I need to think about it," they are not thinking, they are avoiding. When they say, "It's not the right time," time is not the constraint. Courage is. The seller who argues against these statements loses. The seller who investigates them wins. The correct response to no is not persuasion. It is revelation. What does the buyer not yet see? Is it the mechanism of change? The speed of results? The hidden cost of waiting? The certainty that people like them have already succeeded? Until the missing piece becomes visible, resistance is rational. This is why demonstrations outperform explanations. Seeing compresses belief, a wrinkle vanishing, a result appearing, a system functioning in real time. These eliminate doubt faster than language ever can. Words request trust. Evidence commands it. The weak fear rejection because they attach it to identity. The powerful detach completely. They understand that selling is mechanical. Frames are constructed. Information is sequenced. Outcomes emerge. Machiavelli warned against emotional reactions to resistance. Emotion distorts judgment. A seller who takes refusal personally shortens the process by abandoning it. A seller who stays composed extends the frame until the buyer either sees clearly or disqualifies themselves. This is why elite sellers are patient. Patience is not passivity. It is confidence that time favors those with leverage. They do not rush closure. They allow the buyer to confront their own hesitation. There is another uncomfortable truth. Many buyers say no because they do not trust themselves. They fear commitment. They fear failure. Your role is not to soothe that fear, it is to neutralize it. By showing structure, support, and path, uncertainty drains from the decision. Once awareness is complete, resistance collapses. The buyer does not feel persuaded. They feel relieved. The decision stops feeling risky and starts feeling overdue. And sometimes, even after clarity, the answer remains no. This does not weaken your position, it strengthens it. Disqualification preserves authority. Power is protected as much by refusing misaligned deals as by closing aligned ones. Understand this and rejection loses its threat. No becomes information, not insult. Data, not defeat. Principle 6. Everything you want sits behind a yes. The powerless wait to be chosen. The powerful ask and structure the moment so agreement becomes inevitable. Most people believe opportunity is discovered. It is not. Opportunity is granted. And it is granted to those who know how to move decisions forward. Machiavelli understood this brutally. Power does not reward virtue. It rewards action. Here is the lie that keeps people subordinate. If it's meant for me, it will happen. Nothing meaningful happens without a decision. Every decision requires a yes. If you cannot ask for it or guide someone toward it, you will live inside outcomes chosen by others. Life itself is a sequence of sales. You sell where you live, who you partner with, how you allocate time, what behavior you tolerate, what boundaries you enforce. Those who fail to sell their direction are sold someone else's. The mistake sellers make is believing the yes belongs to the buyer alone. It does not. The yes is constructed. It emerges from context, clarity, and confidence applied in sequence. When people hesitate, it is rarely lack of desire. It is lack of certainty. Your task is not to pressure agreement. It is to eliminate every excuse for delay. Machiavelli warned that indecision is more dangerous than error. In sales, hesitation is the enemy, not because it blocks the deal, but because it preserves stagnation. A seller who allows endless contemplation becomes complicit in the buyer's inertia. People move when someone else holds the vision more firmly than they hold their fear. When your belief in the destination outweighs their resistance, authority transfers naturally. This is why elite sellers speak in outcomes, not options. They do not ask, "What would you like to do?" They ask, "Do you want to start now or after the deadline?" This is not manipulation. It is leadership. Leaders do not offer chaos. They provide direction. Another illusion must be destroyed. Asking for yes is uncomfortable. It is only uncomfortable when you doubt the value of the outcome. When you know the destination improves their position, asking becomes responsibility, not risk. Those who fear asking fear judgment, but judgment is the tax of action. The greater danger is invisibility. No one is rewarded for restraint. Understand this yes is not only about the product. It is about identity. Saying yes means accepting a new self, more accountable, more exposed, more capable. Many resist not because of money, but because they fear the person they must become. Weak sellers stop at logic. Strong sellers engage identity. They align the decision with who the buyer already wants to be. When identity activates, resistance dissolves. Once the yes is spoken, momentum begins. Momentum compounds. One decision creates leverage for the next. Those who consistently say yes to the right things accumulate power quietly. Those who delay remain governed by circumstance. Grasp this and you stop waiting. You stop hoping. You stop negotiating with fate. You begin directing it. Principle 7. The rich practice. The poor hope. Hope is the religion of the powerless. Practice is the discipline of those who intend to win. Most people worship talent because it absolves responsibility. If success is a gift, failure is not their fault. Machiavelli would dismiss this immediately. Power is never accidental. It is engineered through repetition. Selling is not reserved for the gifted. It is mechanical skill, and like all mechanics, it sharpens through use. Those who wait to feel ready remain spectators. Those who train become inevitable. The poor believe motivation comes first. The powerful know action creates confidence. One group dreams. The other compounds. Every conversation is training. Those who sell anything rehearse intent before speaking. They decide outcomes in advance. They treat objections as drills, not threats. The weak say, "I don't want to practice on people." The powerful practice on everything. They turn daily decisions into simulations: what to accept, what to refuse, what to prioritize. Each choice strengthens authority. Machiavelli warned that armies lose not in battle, but in neglect during peace. Sellers fail the same way. They wait for pressure, then collapse when it arrives. Those who train daily remain calm when stakes rise. Practice dissolves fear, because fear thrives in uncertainty. Repetition replaces uncertainty with pattern recognition. Once resistance becomes familiar, it becomes manageable. This is why elite sellers are unshaken by objections. They have encountered them thousands of times in motion, not theory. Confidence is not bravado, it is memory. Another illusion must fall: training must be dramatic to work. It does not. 15 minutes daily outperforms hours of sporadic effort. Consistency builds dominance. Intensity without discipline builds nothing. Mistakes are currency. Each failure sharpens judgment. Each misstep refines timing. Those who avoid practice avoid growth, and stagnation slowly becomes identity. Hope waits for opportunity. Practice creates it. This is why sales skill compounds beyond money. The ability to direct decisions governs outcomes across every domain. Training is not optional. It is the price of authority. Principle 8: I know when to be silent. The weak speak to feel safe. The powerful become silent to take control. Most deals are not lost because of price, timing, or competition. They are lost because the seller cannot tolerate silence. He fills the gap with explanations, discounts, reassurance, each one eroding authority. Machiavelli warned that excessive speech reveals insecurity. Silence is not absence. It is pressure. When a buyer has heard enough to decide, additional words introduce doubt. Over-explaining shifts the frame from leadership to justification. Justification belongs to the accused, not the authority. More information does not equal more certainty. Beyond the decision point, it creates confusion. Buyers want resolution, not volume. The disciplined seller watches for signals. When the buyer asks about logistics, timing, or implementation, the decision has already moved internally. At that moment, talking becomes sabotage. Power often lives in restraint. A ruler who reacts to everything appears unstable. A seller who responds to every hesitation appears unsure. Silence communicates confidence. The most dangerous moment in a sale is right after momentum appears. The weak oversell. The powerful ask one question and stop. Have you heard enough to decide? If no, continue. If yes, close. Silence also surfaces truth. When you stop speaking, the buyer reveals hesitation, objection, or alignment. The listener gains leverage. The talker loses it. Silence preserves scarcity. Fewer words increase weight. Attention follows restraint. The poor fear silence because they fear loss of control. In reality, silence is control. It signals independence. Indifference is felt instantly. When used correctly, silence transfers action to the buyer. They must speak. They must decide. You already framed the path. Master this and you stop selling with noise. You begin selling with presence. Presence closes more deals than persuasion ever will. Principle 9: no single mistake kills a deal. The weak fear errors. The powerful expect recovery. Most people sell as if every interaction is fragile, one wrong word, one pause, and everything collapses. This belief keeps most sellers tight, reactive, and overly cautious. Machiavelli would dismiss this immediately. Power is not fragile. Only illegitimacy is. Deals do not collapse because of mistakes. They collapse because of panic. A mistake reveals humanity. Panic reveals weakness. Buyers forgive errors far more easily than they forgive insecurity. When a seller stumbles and then regains composure, authority often increases. When he stumbles and spirals, trust evaporates. Here is the illusion that freezes sellers. I've ruined it. Almost never true. People shift constantly. They are not the same person they were an hour ago, a day ago, or even 5 minutes ago. Pressure changes, context evolves, urgency appears. Machiavelli understood that rulers survive errors by reclaiming control of the narrative afterward. The same law applies in selling. What matters is not the mistake, it is how calmly and quickly command is restored. Names are forgotten. Demonstrations misfire. Answers land imperfectly. None of this kills a deal. The seller who remains steady communicates resilience. Resilience builds confidence. The weak over-apologize. Apologies invite judgment. The powerful correct and continue. They do not linger. They do not explain themselves into weakness. They proceed as if the destination remains intact, because most of the time it does. Another illusion must be shattered. Pressure ruins relationships. Poorly applied pressure damages relationships. Conviction accelerates decisions. Even when pressure misfires, recovery remains possible. Look at how buyers behave in their own lives. They walk away today and return tomorrow when circumstances shift. They reject something now and buy it later when urgency appears. Human behavior is fluid. The seller who understands this never treats a loss as permanent. This is why elite sellers detach emotionally from each interaction. Detachment is not apathy. It is perspective. They understand the horizon is long. One conversation does not define a career. One error does not define a deal. Fear of mistakes shrinks presence. A contracted presence invites resistance. Confidence after error restores control. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors those bold enough to act and stable enough to endure misfortune. Sales rewards the same temperament. Act decisively, recover instantly, continue without hesitation. When this principle is internalized, anxiety dissolves. You stop walking on verbal glass. You stop rehearsing perfection. You speak freely, listen precisely, and adapt in real time. This freedom is dangerous in the best way. It makes you flexible. It makes you unshakable. In markets where most freeze under pressure, adaptability wins. Conclusion: the one who sells well always operates from above. Power is not seized through force. It is accepted through structure. The weak believe selling is about tactics. The strong understand it is about position. When position is correct, techniques become optional. When position is weak, no technique can compensate. Those who sell well are not louder, faster, or more charming. They are calmer, more selective, more willing to walk away. They do not chase agreement. They shape it. They do not beg for trust. They radiate legitimacy. Machiavelli taught that authority must appear natural. The same applies here. When you believe deeply in what you offer, when you govern yourself before attempting to lead others, when you expose problems instead of decorating solutions, when you stand where the money should stand, rejection loses its sting, silence becomes leverage, mistakes become recoverable, fear disappears. At that point, selling no longer feels like labor. It becomes alignment. You are no longer extracting value, you are directing it. Money flows toward clarity, certainty, and conviction. Always has. Always will. This is why the strongest sellers are rarely desperate. Desperation signals misalignment. The seller who can lose the deal controls the frame. The seller who needs the deal surrenders it. Selling anything is not domination over people. It is dominance over chaos. You reduce confusion. You eliminate hesitation. You compress the distance between desire and decision. In doing so, you accept responsibility, something most avoid. Responsibility is heavy. That is why few pursue it. But responsibility is also power. Those willing to carry it quietly rise above those who outsource decisions to chance, hope, or opinion. Markets reward authority, not effort. They reward certainty, not intention. Those who master these principles do not require motivation. They operate from structure. And structure, once built, does not negotiate. Stand above, decide calmly, let others follow. That is the final law.